All right, everybody, it's your boy Genius out here at the range. I have my Glock 45 COA and I have my Glock 19 Gen 5. No front serrations, the original one, okay? I have my performance trigger in the 45 COA. I did a video on it, pretty simple process, but I never do things like that. So I do have a video up showing how to install the performance trigger in this gun. I will tell you how I ended up, or why, should I say, I ended up doing that. Again, the 19 has the stock trigger in it. And I want to try to determine today if it's worth the money to spend $100 or whatever it is that you would have to pay for it to upgrade your, what might be or probably is one of your EDC guns to a better trigger. I'm gonna be honest with you. I shot a little bit off camera, played with it a little bit off camera, obviously, and probably, more than likely, this video is probably going to end up inconclusive or to be continued. I do apologize for that, and I will explain why that is to you, okay? Before I get started doing that, as always, just want to make sure I invite you to know Jesus Christ as your Savior, the most important decision you'll ever make in your existence. There is nothing more important, and there is no one that God cannot or will not save if you call into Him and ask Him to do so. If you're unsure, if you don't know, if you have questions specifically about the gospel, reach out to me, g2tactical@gmail.com, and allow Amanda or I to share the good, the great news of the gospel of Jesus Christ with you. Also, if you like what we do, you can click on the link in the corner of the screen, take you right over to Patreon. You can support us monthly over there. It is a reoccurring charge. You can do as little as $5 or the sky's the limit. I do upload everything over there, and you can cancel anytime. Also, our website at g2tactical.com. Click on the link in the corner of the screen. Get over there. You can pick up some merchandise. Also, you can make a one-time donation by clicking on the 3 lines in the left-hand corner of the screen. Scroll to pop down, click on support the channel, pick a box, wipe out what's already pre-inserted in there, and put in what you would like to make in a one-time single donation. It is not reoccurring, and it all will go back into the channel. All right, so when I did my 5 best striker fired, someone said, I said, you know, I carried this COA a lot, especially in the wintertime, one of my go-tos now. Put a Glock performance trigger in there, you'll like it so much better, okay? Well, I want to start out by saying that I've never been one of those that completely hated the Glock trigger. I know there's a lot of people that do, but I never have. I've never hated the Glock trigger. I've always thought it was a good carry trigger, had a nice reset on it. I'm sorry, it is what it is. When you run 3,000 to 4,000 rounds downrange each month, as I do, you just find yourself, it's a habitual habit, hunting for a reset, and I like a good reset. And although the Glock trigger may not be the best trigger on the market, it does have a good reset in that it's tactile, very audible, and you can feel it shoving back on your finger, and I really, really like that. And even with earplugs in, a lot of times I can hear the audibleness of the reset on the Glock trigger, so I don't hate the Glock trigger. Therefore, I've never changed a trigger in one of my Glocks. If you can believe that, I've never changed a trigger in one of my Glocks. Let me say that again, okay? I typically don't like changing internal parts, especially triggers, in guns that I carry. I like to keep them as stock as possible. But given that it is a Glock part made by Glock, basically looks exactly the same, okay? I figured, why not, okay? It's a Glock part, right? It's got to work, right? So I did, like I said, I did the video installing the trigger, okay? What I want to do right now is take this Glock 19 that has the stock trigger in there, and I'm sure you've seen this hundreds of times with a Glock. A Glock trigger is pretty consistent, always has been across all their different models, but we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to look at center blade safety. You have about that much take up. You will have a rolling break as you expect on a Glock trigger. Okay, very, very a crisp break, okay? It just is, it's a good crisp break. All right, let's look at the reset, not super short. However, it is crazy, crazy audible and tactile, really shoves back on your finger. Once it resets, tiny bit of take up, breaks right there, okay? So let's look at the performance trigger. Performance trigger, take that center blade safety out. Ever so slight, tiny less take up, okay? Almost the same really, but just a little bit tinier, okay? It does still have a little bit of a rolling brake, but not nearly as bad. I'm not going to tell you that it hits a wall and stops right there because, or brakes right there, because it doesn't, okay? It still has a tiny little bit of a rolling brake, but it is not as much as what is on the stock trigger, okay? What I do know is that on the packaging, it says it turns it into a 5-pound trigger. Well, let me tell you that this, as you can expect from any Glock being consistent as they are, almost every single time, 5.4, 5.5. I've had Glocks that I've put 10,000 rounds through, still has a 5.4, 5.5 trigger. They are consistent in that way. So I know I don't do the trigger pull gauge on camera because it looks like I rode the short bus trying to do that. But, and generally I'll just put a picture up, but I was consistently getting about 3.5 on this. So I don't know why it says 5 pounds. It's definitely way lighter than that. A pound and a half lighter than that actually. So again, take up about the same. There's some grit there. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Hits a wall there. A tiny little bit of a roll, but very predictable break and very much so lighter. So if you're looking for a lighter trigger, about the same crispness, if you will, crispness. That's not like I said Christmas. Crisp is the break is about the same, okay? Although the trigger is much, much lighter and it's less of a rolling break. So I guess in some ways you could say it's more predictable, okay? All right, the reset has some grit in it. Seems to come out just as far. But one thing I'll tell you about the reset on this trigger is that it's not nearly as tactile as the stock trigger. The stock trigger is so much louder and shoves back on your fingers so much more. So I still prefer the reset on the stock trigger. I just do so far anyway. Now, on that reset, that progression back forward, there's grit and there's a little bit of grit in the take up. And something else that I noticed is that it has this catchiness, if you will, when you go to rack the slide. That's smooth as silk, okay? Now, when I was reading some stuff trying to figure out what that was, you can even hear it. It said on a lot of the Gen 5s that you installed the performance trigger on, you would get that catchiness, that grittiness, especially on the reset. And most people just shoot it, it works itself out, or you could take the trigger group back up out of there. You can polish the side of the trigger bar and maybe polish the slide lock, because with the ambi slide lock, that's where it tends to have the issues. And you can clean it, oil it, deburr it, whatever it is, and it should be fine. But most people just shoot it, it works itself out. I don't know, I'm just telling you, there's grit on the take up, and when it hits the wall and breaks, there's grit on the reset, and there's that little catchiness right there when you go to rack the slide. Now, again, that's why the video will probably be inconclusive today. Probably what I'll have to do, knowing and shooting the Glock 45 a ton, because again, I carry it a lot and I do shoot it a lot off camera. I know how I perform with it. Whether this one has no red dot on it or not is irrelevant. I know how I shoot with this. I'll probably have to come out here and just put 150 rounds through it on camera and just see if I perform better with it with this trigger in there or not, and is it worth the extra $100. So right now I'm gonna start out by shooting the original Glock 19. Try to remember that I have become absolutely rotten, spoiled rotten with red dots. So it's not often that I shoot with irons anymore. So don't beat me over the head if you don't hear a ding after every one of these shots. But I want to try to take slow, methodical shots, listen for that reset, and just feel the trigger, okay? That's what I'm trying to do right now. I think that right there shows why it is that I say I prefer the CZ over the Glock. The P10C, I just never have shot well with the Glock. But with that being said, the 45 and the 19X seem to be different even just with iron sights. So I don't know, I can't explain it. I find myself trying to cant the gun different ways. I just never have shot well with the Glock, but that's not what this video is about. It's about the trigger. Gonna try to do the same thing, just slow and methodical, just kind of, you probably be able to hear it on camera better than me for the reset, and just trying to feel that trigger. Okay, I mean, again, I can't feel it pulling back or pushing back, should I say, on my finger like I did on the Glock, like I'm the original stock trigger. I mean, it really shoves your finger back. Nice, crisp, audible reset. Definitely, I can feel the reset, as you could hear probably in the video. As soon as it reset, I popped the trigger again, so obviously I could feel it. I guess I would have to shoot it faster to really know that, because again, knowing how I perform with the gun, I can kind of tell you if I shot better with it, especially if I'm alternating between these targets. So I'm going to do that right fast. But again, I still think I'm going to have to come out here and I'm going to have to shoot this thing just with the COA, and you know, see if I shoot better with it without the other gun here, and see if that grit cleans itself up, you know, any of that. But either way, I had a stink bug on me. I mean, it's that time of year, you know how it is. It smells pretty bad too. So here we go. I'm just gonna try to alternate between the targets. Make sure I turn my dot up a little bit. Try to alternate between the targets and see if I shoot any faster, any better with it, with that trigger in there. But again, remember, I'm still getting used to the new trigger. I've never changed the trigger in a Glock pistol ever. I don't know, maybe. That wasn't bad. Missed it by a little bit. Either way, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Let's feel the, I don't know, it feels like that catch is probably going away. Let's do the reset. Still got that grit right there. I don't know. I don't know. Is it worth $100 to upgrade your Glock if you hate the Glock trigger? Well, it depends on why you hate it. If you hate it because you don't like the fact it's 5.5 pounds, it has more of a rolling break, less predictable, then yeah, you'll like it. It's worth it. Upgrade, okay? It really depends on why you don't like your Glock trigger, like I said. Is it worth $100? I want to give you an answer. I want to give you an answer, but I don't know just yet. I shot pretty good with it, but what I want to do is when I come out here and I train with the 45, I move up here, right, to about 8-9 yards. Right now I'm standing at about 15. So I want to come back out here, revisit this thing, come up a little bit closer to where I normally would train, and then alternate between the targets, because again, I'm intimately familiar with the gun and I will know if I'm performing better, shooting faster with it at that more 7, 8, 9 yard range. So that's what I want to do. I want to revisit it because I want to see if this thing will work itself out, because I want to be able to report that to you guys if this grit works itself out, and without me having to polish it up. That's what I want to do. So probably going to shoot this gun a little bit off camera to kind of see if I can get that, work that out of it without having to clean it, and then come back out here and see if I actually perform better with it. And if you like a lighter trigger on your gun, it's not a bad trigger. I don't regret spending $100 on it. Now, did it make it better than I already shot with the Glock 45 COA? I don't know. To be continued. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are. Any advice for anyone that has it. It's all accepted. Be kind in the comment section. And as always, on this beautiful day that the Lord has made, to God only be the glory.